Welcome back, those of you in person, and again, welcome back for those of you on Zoom. We're real excited to open the second day of our symposium called Histories and Legacies of Displacement and Removal. And to help us open today's symposium, we have Eugene Blackbear joining us again, tribal leader with the Southern Cheyenne Nation.
Morning. Yesterday, I opened up here. I burned some cedar, and I cedared. And right after that, I prayed. I prayed in my native tongue. I learned my language. I prayed in Cheyenne language. There's not a whole lot of people that still speak the language. Our language is because of our people being mainstream. It's rare that you see somebody my age still speaking our language. So I prayed in our language. And then after that, I went and sat down. And then I sat here all day long, patiently listening to what everybody presented. And it was an education for me to come to this Aurora community and to hear all the stories. I've heard the stories from everybody that was present. Some were educators, some were not educators, some were community people. I heard from our delegation, some of the Rapojos and some of the Cheyennes. They came up and they gave a lots and lots of history. And I sat back there patiently all day long until it ended. And it was an education for me. And I just want to say that this morning, I'm glad to be here. Because of the racial discrimination in this world, I live in Oklahoma. I couldn't make it in boarding schools. I mean, I couldn't make it in the public school because of the racial discrimination. So I probably got kicked out of about maybe close to 15. And when I was in my junior high and high school, about 15 schools, because somebody would make a remark, about Indians, they come over and they go, ooh, they go like that. And man, I just turn around. I don't care if it was in a principal's office or on the football field or in the lunchroom, man, I just turn around and blast them, And then as a result, the administrators and the dominant society would kick me out of school because I would promise not to do it again, but then somebody would do that and I would do it again. So I got kicked out of a lot of schools. I ended up in a boarding school, Riverside Indian School. I went to school down there, and boarding school is not really, you heard all the atrocities of boarding school. Yes, it's true. But for me, a troubled, dysfunctional Cheyenne individual, it was a good home for me because I got down there amongst all them wild Indians and I learned how to fight. I learned how to be a fighter, stand up for myself. Against any kind of odds wherever I went. It was good for me. And then I met my wife. I had a short time for drugs and alcohol. And then I met my wife and she got me on the road to sobriety. Today, as I stand before you, my wife passed away 5 years ago. I was married to her 45 years. But today, as I stand before you, due to my wife, I'm 47 years and 11 months of alcohol, drug-free, marijuana-free sobriety. And my wife done that for me. And I'll always be thankful to her. She passed on and she went on to make the journey back home. My dad, my mom would always tell me, don't drink, don't use alcohol, don't use drugs. It's just gonna disrupt your way of life. But when I married my wife, she showed me a better way. I had 4 kids. I got 2 sons. I got a son just about almost same age as Timberly here. I might not look that old, but due to not using drugs and alcohol for that long a period of time, I've got pretty good health. I got no diabetes. I got no high blood pressure. I got no heart problems. I do smoke a lot of cigarettes. That's about the bad thing about me. And I get before an audience or a crowd. I tell bad jokes, off the wall jokes, and sometimes my humor is too dry sometimes, and people get bored, but I'm very honored to be, up here. I'm mainstreamed. I went to aircraft mechanics school in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Got my Federal Aviation Administration Airframe and Power Plant. And I went to work at Tinker Air Force Base for the Department of Defense. And I'm retired as an A&P mechanic. I work up there on KC-135s, the planes that carry fuel, 230,000 pounds of fuel, and they refuel jets in the air. I worked on those tankers, B-52s, B-1B bombers, and then we launched and received AWACS aircraft. By working out there, the loud noise, on my right side, my hearing is just kind of like halfway gone, But I mainstreamed, I got out there and went out into the world, and I said, well, if I've seen some other people that were more dysfunctional than I was, going out and getting their college degrees, going to universities, getting master's degrees, getting PhDs. I said, well, I can do something for myself. So I went out, the encouragement from my wife, I got my A&P, and then I retired over 17 and a half years. They closed the air base down in Randolph Air Force Base down in San Antonio, and a lot of the workers came up to tinker. So I took an early retirement. So anymore, I just sit home at my house over there and take care of my grandkids and take care of my kids over there. And just sit there, and I go to the Sundance. I've been going to the Sundance for about 50 years. 2 years ago, I went in there. I go to sweat lodges. I instruct tribal members that are willing to listen. I teach them words. I teach them the language, not in a classroom setting. The classroom setting is a good way to learn, but I teach language. That language is fun. It's fun to learn. When you teach somebody a word and they mispronounce it, and then you laugh together, that's how you learn. And I teach language like that to my tribal members. We talk about a lot of words. When you speak the language, a language that's not English, there's a lot of glottal sounds that you have to learn. You have to learn the, and you have to learn the where, and then you have to learn the to go with those pronunciation of the words. I think the best example would be French and German and Russian. You try to learn them sounds. If you don't say the glottal sounds right, you kind of mispronounce the words. Cheyenne is like that too. Arapaho language is like that. I told Timberly, I said, I came in yesterday, burned the cedar, said the prayer, went and sat down. I said, today, I said, I'm going to do it my way. I said, I'm going to come up here and talk a little bit and explain, where I'm from, and I'm glad to be here. I feel, I just want to tell you, I feel kind of intimidated, here at Colorado University at Denver, place of higher education. Everybody's here going to college, getting that higher education. I kind of feel intimidated because all I really have is boarding school education. And I tell people, I said, I stayed in the 12th grade for about 6 years, and then they finally told me, Eugene, you got to go home. You're too old to be here. But I've rubbed shoulders with people, educators, lawyers, doctors, PhDs, and my ability to learn by talking to people. That's where I got my education. So I learned, a lot of things, And I tell Timberly, and I tell a lot of the PhDs I meet, because you are a PhD, you have acquired that status through your dissertation and your writing and everything. I would recommend that you never, because you got a PhD, that you never, ever say, I don't know. Don't never say that. Just tell them, wait, I'll get back to you. So I just wanted to say that and start off this morning, with that few words here. And I'm going to be sitting back here all day long, and we'll probably come up at noon and we'll probably give an account of our tribal, traditional, historical portion of what's being presented today. And I always tell people to be fair. There's a lot of people that come up to you. Sometimes they'll just walk up to you and they'll start talking to you. And I've encountered in my life people that do that. And I tell them, wait, stop. I said, you want to talk to me? You want to tell me whatever you want to tell me? I'll listen to you for 5 minutes. And then after 5 minutes, you need to stop, halt, and then shut up. And then I would talk 5 minutes, and then you listen to me, and then I will stop and halt and shut up, and then you can talk. That's the way I like to communicate with people, When somebody starts talking more than 5 minutes, because I got a boarding school brain, they kind of lose my attention. My attention span, I'm just being honest, my attention span is probably about that much, I don't know, as educators, you probably know all about attention span and students, but I just want to be honest with you, give me a chance to talk, I'll probably go on and on and on, but I just want to say I'm honored to be here amongst all you people from here for Aurora, Colorado University. My name is Eugene Blackbear Jr. I'm 5 generations on both sides, my father's side, my mother's side. My grandfather, Strongbow, he died at Sand Creek. I got relations that far, and I've got some more before that on my father's side. And then on my mother's side, come from the Romano side, who was also at the Battle of the Bighorn. So I've got a lot of connection and genealogy that we kept. On one side, you have the white man history that's written into the books. It's written into the books. You can go to library, you can get it on internet, you can go and research, you'll find written materials from the dominant society. But also the Cheyenne people, they have their own oral traditional history that comes down. And I know quite a bit from that side. A lot of it coincides with what is written, but sometimes every now and then, it'll not tell, the whole story. So sometimes we need to put those together in the future, I've been telling people. But I just want to say, bear with me. I did a memorial about probably a month ago. And my grandfathers, my uncles, my dad said, never ask for eagle feathers. I've always wanted eagle feathers. He said, never ask for them, never buy them. Never tell somebody, I want your eagle feathers. Never say that. Someday they will come to you. And about a month ago, I went up to Montana, and there was a girl that she's got a store up in Estes Park. Her name is Nico Stranger. She lost her mom and she lost her dad, and she had a memorial for them. And I went up there and I talked for them, and I used the red paint. And then as an appreciation, she gave me 30 of these. These are real beautiful feathers here. I got 10 more I need to put on there. But whenever I go someplace, I stand there and I talk with them because they're my, I guess you could say, my comfort blanket. That's what they are for me. So I just wanted to say that. I'm very proud to be here with the Repo delegation, Cheyenne delegation. Bear with me a few moments here. I'm going to say a prayer in my language, and then we'll start the symposium. Thank you for listening. They were Jewish dance. They were just it ridiculous that histories, legacies, displacement, removal. They were just Hatil, Aurora. Town at the words my ear. They were just they were the money. They were Jewish dance. What's done here? Hatil, my ear. They were town at the words they were just They were the baby mayors. The baby mayors. Oh, it's a pivot. Oh, it's a pivot. The baby mayors. The baby the duckest. Oh, it's a pivot. The baby the duckum. What's done here? Oh, it's a pivot. My town at the words he was just he were well, he were Jahayas. He were Tamha. He were Mahakis. He were Hadania. He were Hey. He were Ksawa. He were Ksae. He were Gachkunya. He done a Gachkun. Hey, Gachkun. The pyramid, no, he were Gachkunya. He was just a goa. Well, the Nutkaville, Nutkaville, my, he were just a goa. He were my units. My units, he were just a goa. He were Vistama, my ear. He were town afterwards, he were society of Bill Mutas. The Bill Mutta, he was society of Bill Mutas, my ear. He were just a goa. Jia comes, the harm his. Hans the nose, he were Bill, he was just a goa. Town afterwards, my ear. He were Nipstan the word. He were Mount Hilness, he was just a core, it's here, he was still at the Colorado University at Denver, he was just a core, he was at the community here, Aurora, he was just a core, my town afterwards, you know, good spirits in the four directions this day as we come before you. I come before you saying these words to you in my native tongue. This morning, I want to say thank you for this day that you have given us. I was very thankful this morning to see the sun come up from the east. And all throughout this day, you be with us. You put a good spirit here, that all the things we're going to talk about here today, it will be in good order. Everything will be brought out and explained during this 2-day symposium here. Put a blessing on this ground here. Put a blessing on this area here. That every student that walks on this ground here, every employee, every visitor, every instructor that comes here, they may receive a blessing from being on this university here this day, Heavenly Father. Look down upon us. We have many concerns. We have many thoughts in our minds. We ask that you make peace in our country. What is happening across the waters over there. So many times in the past, we have lost our loved ones, our Cheyenne and Arapaho boys. They sent them up there in World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam. We lost a lot of people fighting for this country. They laid down their lives. We don't want to see that no more. Our relatives come home in body bags, Heavenly Father. The weather that is taking place down in Florida, a lot of people up there displaced due to the hurricane that went through. You be with them this day. Look down upon them. Many things we're thinking about this day, Heavenly Father. We want to say thank you for this day. We ask that you give us a continuance of your guidance and the good spirits in the four directions. I ask these things in your name, Heavenly Father, Creator. Amen.
Thank you so much, Eugene. So welcome again for those of you who are here yesterday, and welcome anew for those of you who are joining us today for the first time. My name is Marjorie Levine-Clark. I'm Associate Dean for Diversity Outreach and Initiatives in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences at CU Denver, and I'm also a professor of history. I want to start our day again by offering a land acknowledgement that was composed by Gracie Redshirt Cheyenne, who's of Lakota, and she is now at the Centers for American Indian and Alaska Native Health at CU Anschutz. Acknowledging that we reside in the homelands of Indigenous peoples is an important step in recognizing the history and the original stewards of these lands. Land acknowledgements must extend far beyond words. The United States has worked hard to erase the narratives of Indigenous peoples over time. Land acknowledgement statements can help to remind us of the history, the contributions, and the sacrifices of Native peoples have made. We honor and acknowledge that we are on the traditional territories and ancestral homelands of the Cheyenne, Arapaho, and Ute nations. This area, specifically the confluence of the Platte and Cherry Creek rivers, was the epicenter for trade and information sharing, planning for the future, community, family and ally building, as well as conducting healing ceremonies for over 45 Indigenous nations, including the Lakota, Kiowa, Comanche, Apache, Shoshone, Paiute, Zuni, and Hopi, among others. We must recognize Indigenous peoples as the original stewards of this land, and as these words of acknowledgement are spoken and heard, remember the ties these nations still have to their traditional homelands. Let us acknowledge the painful history of genocide and forced removal from this territory, and pay our respect to the diverse Indigenous peoples still connected to this land. Let us also give thanks to all tribal nations and the ancestors of this place. Thank you for that. So I was going to start by saying, and I guess I will, what a great day we had yesterday. hearing mostly from our community members about their experiences. And today, we're going to be more focused on hearing from people from the university and the research possibilities that can grow out of collaborations with the community. Eugene made me think about different forms of knowledge, right? The ways that, you know, so a lot of us think about how knowledge is produced through education, right? I mean, Eugene mentioned a PhD, not saying I don't know. Well, I would always say a PhD should always say I don't know, right? That it's a continual form of learning, but that, you know, we're so used to thinking of knowledge as coming, like the more educated you are, the more knowledge you have. But knowledge takes many forms, right? Knowledge comes from experience, from different histories, from, you know, and I think so much of what we're hearing and learning from this symposium is about these different forms of knowledge. And I'd like us to think about that and the ways that we can, you know, what we can do with that as we come away from these 2 days. So thank you, Eugene, for making me think about that more explicitly. So I gave big thank yous yesterday. And you can see these big thank yous online on our website and also in your program. But I really want to call out a couple of people who are here, especially Brian Less and Steve Hall, who are sitting over there. You can raise your hands, who are taking care of our cameras and our AV, and really have done a top-notch job. And also the Symposium Working Group, who this program could absolutely not have come together without. Esuri Vasquez, I don't know if you're here. Please raise your hand. Yay, Esuri. Kristen Kang, Salisbury, who has been fantastic in all manner of ways, running our Zoom. Tracy Combe, where's Tracy? Oh, right in the front, I can't see her. Yes, also, and Timberly, you've seen many times, and Rachel, just such a great team. I want to give them a big hand. So we are here, obviously you see our title, to think about histories and legacies of displacement and removal, centered on the Auraria campus, centered on the displacement and removal of the indigenous nations from this place and the surrounding areas, and of the Hispanic Latinx communities from this area specifically. And today, again, thinking about the relationships between those communities and the university specifically. So with that, I think we will, is it time? Yes, we will begin our